Commander Zekthor of the Vraxian Armada had seen 300 cycles of war. His carapace bore the scars of countless battles, and his 4 eyes had witnessed the death of stars. Today he watched as 73 warships surrounded a single human vessel, and he felt nothing but contempt. The humans had arrived in the galactic community only 2 solar cycles ago, a species so primitive they still used chemical propulsion for their first ventures beyond their moon. Yet here they stood, refusing to surrender territory the Vraxian Empire had claimed for millennia. "Open a channel," Zekthor clicked his mandibles. "Let them hear their death sentence." The human ship was laughably small, a modified cargo hauler called the Wanderer, barely capable of faster-than-light travel. Its hull was patched with mismatched metal, and its weapon systems were ceremonial at best. Aboard that ship, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge with her crew of 12, fully aware they had minutes to live. "They're hailing us," her communications officer reported, voice trembling. Sarah closed her eyes. She thought of Earth, of blue oceans and green forests, of her daughter's laughter. Then she opened them, steel returning to her gaze. "Broadcast on all frequencies," she said quietly. "Everything we have." Her crew stared at her. "Captain, if we're going to die out here," Sarah said, "then let them know we existed. Let them know we lived." She pulled up her personal archive, scrolling through files until she found it. A song. One single song that had traveled with her through the void, a reminder of home. "Broadcast this," she whispered, pressing play. The opening notes of Clair de Lune by Claude Debussy drifted into space. On the bridge of the Vraxian flagship, Zekthor froze. The sound that emerged from the human ship was unlike anything in the galactic databases. It wasn't a battle hymn or a desperate plea. It was something the universal translators couldn't categorize because it needed no translation. Gentle piano notes cascaded through the void, each one a brushstroke of emotion. The melody rose and fell like breathing, like waves on a shore, like the heartbeat of something ancient and profound. "What is this?" Zekthor demanded. His tactical officer's voice was uncertain. "Unknown, Commander. It appears to be organized sound, mathematical in structure, yet what? Yet it makes no tactical sense." Across the fleet the same confusion rippled. The Krell warships, piloted by a species that communicated through electromagnetic pulses, found their instruments trembling in harmony with the frequencies. The Othani cruisers, whose people understood only the language of aggression, felt something stir in their crystalline consciousness, something forgotten, something like the memory of their homeworld before the wars began. Zekthor's claws hovered over the firing controls. One command. That's all it would take. But the sound held him captive. The melody shifted, growing more complex. Each note seemed to carry weight, painting pictures in the mind without words. Zekthor saw things he couldn't explain. Rain falling on leaves, light dancing on water, the face of someone he'd loved and lost 200 cycles ago. "Commander," his weapons officer whispered, and Zekthor realized with shock that his officer was weeping. A Vraxian warrior, bred for battle, tears streaming down his face. "What sorcery is this?" Zekthor growled, but his voice lacked conviction. On the Wanderer, Sarah watched her sensors in disbelief. The enemy fleet had stopped advancing. More than that, they had powered down weapon systems. One by one, like stars winking out, the hostile signatures were disappearing from her tactical display. "Captain," her first officer breathed. "They're listening." The song continued its journey through the void, reaching farther than any human message had traveled before. It touched the automated defense platforms that had killed thousands, and their targeting systems hesitated. It reached mining colonies where species worked in bitter silence, and for the first time in generations they stopped to simply feel. Zekthor's hand fell away from the controls. He didn't understand the mechanism, but he understood the truth. This wasn't a weapon. This was something his people had sacrificed in their rise to power, the ability to create beauty for its own sake, to express the inexpressible, to touch souls across the vastness of space with nothing but organized vibration. "Analysis," he commanded, voice hoarse. "The pattern suggests emotional communication, Commander. It appears to encode joy, sorrow, longing, and peace simultaneously. Our xenopsychologists theorize it's a form of universal empathy transmission. The humans call it music." Music. The word meant nothing in Vraxian, yet now it meant everything. As the final notes faded into silence, 73 warships hung in space, weapons cold, crews shaken to their core. Sarah Chen stood on her bridge, barely breathing, watching the impossible unfold before her. Then Commander Zekthor did something no Vraxian had done in 300 cycles of conquest. He opened a channel and his voice, stripped of all hostility, filled the void. Human vessel, we would speak with you, not as enemies, as students. Sarah's hand shook as she reached for the communications panel. This is Captain Chen of Earth, we're listening. That sound you transmitted, music, do you have more? Sarah looked at her crew, saw hope dawning in their eyes, saw the impossible becoming real. She thought of the millions of songs humanity had created across millennia. Symphonies and spirituals, rock and jazz, the lullabies mothers sang to children under countless stars. Commander, she said, voice steady now, we have libraries full, thousands of years of it. There was a long pause. When Zekthor spoke again, something had changed in his voice. Something ancient and martial had cracked, revealing something younger, almost vulnerable. Then perhaps, he said slowly, war can wait. Teach us how to do what you do. Teach us how to make beauty. And so, in the cold mathematics of orbital space, surrounded by weapons that could crack planets, humanity's first gift to the galaxy wasn't technology or treaties or threats of mutual destruction. It was a song. One song that reminded 73 warships full of warriors that before they learned to kill, they had known how to feel. Before conquest there had been wonder. Before the endless void of war there had been music. Captain Sarah Chen smiled, tears streaming down her face, and began to compile a playlist. The galaxy would never be the same.